We have to talk about Ivory Rose Grows Wild and her sudden switch to being besties with Gypsy. I want to first and foremost say that I am very empathetic to what she is dealing with. If she is struggling with her own mental health, that is absolutely not something that we want to take for granted. We want to take this very seriously and understand that everyone struggles with their own mental health in different ways. So my heart goes out to her if she is truly struggling with mental health issues because of any backlash that she has gotten online from the content that she has posted. Now let's get into this sudden switch between being on TikTok and putting out content about Gypsy pretty consistently for almost a year. She was even on the Lifetime episode where Lifetime featured her driving past the Blanchard's home, supposedly harassing Gypsy on a live stream. And this was a whole thing on TikTok. Now, I don't understand everything that happened because she's had me blocked for a very long time, which a lot of content creators that talk about Gypsy have had me blocked for a long time. I don't know why, but that's not the discussion of this video. So I was not privy to a lot of the things that she was speaking about, but I made a video myself about how Gypsy calls everyone who disagrees with her a content creator hater. But there are key differences between being a hater and being somebody who is trying to spread awareness, truth, and information. Someone even accused me of being on the Blanchard side and getting paid by the family, and there is not enough money in the world that they would have that would corrupt my morals and have me associated with somebody who has committed the type of crime that Gypsy has, nor would I associate myself with somebody who is a fraud, a manipulator, a gaslighter, a horrible person, a psychopath, a sociopath. There's a lot of things that Gypsy is, and I would not corrupt my own morals and integrity to be associated with her for any dollar amount of money. I don't know that that's what is going on with Ivory Rose Grows Wild. I do not know if they were all in cahoots behind the scenes and working together to put out this fake narrative of Gypsy being bullied and harassed by content creators on TikTok. I do not think that anyone who has talked about Gypsy particularly has bullied, harassed, and stalked her. We are well within our First Amendment right to come on here and share our opinion. That is not bullying, stalking, and harassing her. I don't even believe that the rolling billboard was stalking, harassing, and bullying, even though she tried to paint it out as that. I do not think that that is bullying and harassment either, because it was not targeted towards her. I think that it was targeted for everyone else that was in the French Quarter so that they are aware that there is a murderer on the street. And if she got secondhand offended because of that, then, that's on her. She has absolutely no problem slandering, harassing, defaming her mother's name or Nicholas's name or Ryan's name or anyone else's name, but when it's done to her, it's bullying and harassment. So there's always a double standard with Gypsy. But back to Ivory Rose Grows Wild. I do not know if they are in cahoots together or if they were working together. It does seem like that is a possibility, because how do you just switch up from one day creating content about not trusting her, not liking her, all of these things, and then immediately going and getting drinks with them? To me, that is giving very suspicious behavior. And I definitely understand the idea of wanting to have friends, wanting to be in a circle, wanting to feel supported, all of those things. But all of these women who have suddenly switched sides from not supporting Gypsy to all of a sudden supporting Gypsy. It's giving, I'm a weak ass bitch who was manipulated by a murderer. That's what it's telling me about you. That you are a weak bitch and you can be easily manipulated in order to switch sides. There is nothing wrong with having empathy for Gypsy, for the things that she may have endured, but also not agreeing with her being free on the streets while Nicholas sits in jail. And Gypsy seems to think that because we don't agree with her being out of prison, that somehow means that we want Nicholas to be out here walking the streets free. No, what we want is for Gypsy to be back behind bars serving the same sentence that Nicholas got, because she was the one who corrupted him. She was the one who manipulated him. She was the one who came up with the entire plan. Everything is because of Gypsy. If Gypsy was not involved, Nicholas would not have even been on Dee Dee's radar. He would not have known who Dee Dee was. And that's where the cognitive dissonance comes in. And again, this is not about choosing Gypsy's side over Nicholas's side or over Dee Dee's side. I am on the side of facts, of the truth. And so far, Gypsy has not given any of us the truth. She sprinkles in a little bit of truth mixed in with a lot of lies. So you have to decode everything that she's saying in order to even get to the slightest bit of what you might think could be factual information. And that's the part that I find myself struggling with the most when it comes to all these people suddenly befriending Gypsy after spending a year and a half speaking out against her. Is you all know how well she is able to manipulate, how well she is able to lie, how well she is able to deceive, how well she is able to spin public perception in her favor and victimize herself, and to want to be associated with that after everything that we've seen. That is the most suspicious part of all of this. Again, I don't know how you could allow yourself to get manipulated by a murderer and a murderer's best friend. It's one thing to apologize and want to, clear the air and be on good terms and just not want to put out any content that you feel like spreads negativity or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. But to then go out and have drinks with them, that's on a real personal level. And that truly shows what your true character is. And I knew that there was something going on with her, and there was something that I didn't trust. And then whenever I got blocked, I was just like, oh, okay, whatever, I didn't think anything about it, because I wasn't necessarily seeing her content. But there was one post that I had made back in, I want to say October, and she commented, no, she didn't comment. She made a video basically saying that I was lying about Gypsy moving in with Ken. It was right after the hurricane. And she basically was like, oh no, Ken is living with Christy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, she's been living at Ken's house. Once they got that house in Metairie, Gypsy was living with Ken. Yeah, she may not have been posting about it online, but she moved her ass into that house well before just last week. I'm not stupid, and I know that she was living with him. And that's why I made that post. And she came on and basically was telling everybody that I was a liar, that I didn't know what I was talking about, and that because she lives down in the bayou, that she's got all the tea, and that this is what was going on. And there was something about that I didn't trust. because I felt like I knew what I was talking about whenever they got that house in Metairie. I knew that Gypsy was going to immediately move in because she had been talking about wanting to get married and, all these different things. So it made sense to me that she moved into that house rather than Ken moving in with Christy. And then we come to find out that Ken doesn't even like going to Christy's house and staying the night at Christy's house because he does not like the size of the bed in Gypsy's room. So again, there are a lot of things that actually confirm that I was right about Gypsy moving in with Ken last year. But because she got online and called me a liar, nobody believed me. Anyway, I just think that it's all very suspicious. No, I am not working with Gypsy. I would never corrupt my own morals and integrity to be associated with a murderer. I would never allow myself to get manipulated by a murderer or her best friend. And I don't think that this is showing that Ivory Rose has good morals, good values, good character. And my heart goes out to her if she was experiencing any bullying, any hate, anything like that that would obstruct her own mental health. However, I still don't understand how that means that you're gonna be besties with the murderer, Gypsy Rose. Like, I still don't get how that correlates to being besties, going out and have drinks and all of that. I do think that it's possible for you to not have any animosity, not put forth out any content that would, attract negativity. Like, I get all that. I just do not agree with going out and being besties. You can put your opinion and your feelings aside for the better good of your own mental health and still not put yourself around people who have no morals, values, or integrity, because clearly none of them do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be hanging out with a murderer. And if Gypsy had any morals, integrity, values, or good character, she wouldn't have committed the crime that she committed or have manipulated the man that she manipulated or would have slandered her mother, slandered Nicholas Godejohn, slandered Ryan Anderson, and all the other people that are, a victim of Gypsy Rose. I'm going to say it again. It is not harassment and bullying when you are putting out information and giving your opinion on things that she has already given to the public. Everything that was on that billboard were things that the public had seen because of Gypsy herself putting it out, even the picture of her own daughter. So it's okay for her to put a picture of her daughter out in the public, for her to use it and exploit, but it's not okay for anyone else to use that same photo that you put out in the World Wide Web. Make that make sense. Anyways, I just wanted to get on here because I wanted to clear the air and make sure that everyone knew that I am not associated with the Blanchards. I do not agree with Ivory Rose Grows Wild being associated with the Blanchards after spending the last year speaking out against Gypsy Rose. I find it all very suspicious. I find it all toxic, and I am really glad that I am not associated with any of them. Let me know what you think. I did not really want to speak on this, but I felt like it was necessary when people started accusing me of also being a rat because I, came out and said that I wasn't going to be talking about Gypsy Rose that much anymore, that I was going to be switching my content or whatever. I guess that sparked people to believe that I was somehow working with them. I am not. And I thank everyone who continues to support me and the content that I do put out. My page has always been about exposing the truth, exposing the behaviors, exposing the pattern, and I will continue to do that. I thank you all so much for being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, save, and share the video. I'll see you in the next one.